Part 37. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 361. Chapter 361. Ling Guo briefly analyzed the problems in this test for Ling Yu, and then said hello to the class teacher that he was going home because he had something to do at home. Of course the class teacher agreed. After all, Ling Guo's test scores were so good this time. If he didn't agree, it just doesn't make sense. The most important thing is that Ling Guo is from a background household. Dad, I'm back. Ling Guo knocked on the door. After Lin Feng opened the door, he was a little surprised to find that it was Ling Guo. Why are you back? Aren't you supposed to be in class? I understood all the content of the class, so I found it boring, so I came back. Dad, I have something to ask you. What's the matter? Lin Feng was about to go out, but when he heard Ling Guo say, he gave up his own affairs and sat down, ready to listen to Ling Guo patiently. Ling Guo pursed her lips and asked, does Aunt Baiyun have a child? She accidentally touched Bai Yun's wrist that day, so she found out that Bai Yun was pregnant. She was already 3 months old. She should have known it. After all, Baiyun's early pregnancy reaction was quite serious. The original person doesn't understand, but Feng Ling understands. Lin Feng didn't expect that Ling Guo would find out. For a moment, he didn't know what to say to Ling Guo. Qiuqiu, listen to what Dad said. Your Aunt Baiyun has indeed given birth to a baby, but when they are born, they will be your younger siblings. Don't worry, Dad won't ignore you. This incident was an accident. We had not planned to have a child so early. But now that it's here, we don't want it to leave this world just like this. So, Qiuqiu, I think you can forgive me? Except this younger brother or sister. Lin Feng looked at Ling Guo nervously. In order to prevent Ling Guo from noticing, Bai Yun tried her best to behave as usual these days, but in fact, her pregnancy was not easy. When she gave birth to Bai Feng, she hurt her foundation. So the doctor said it was difficult to get pregnant. This time they asked specifically that if she aborted, it would be impossible to have children in the future. Lin Feng knew that Bai Yun wanted this child very much, and he was reluctant to make Bai Yun sad. But he has a daughter on one side and a wife on the other, and he doesn't want to make anyone angry. It doesn't matter, I understand. Aunt Baiyun, it would be nice if this child stayed. This time, Ling Guo was very calm. She looked at Lin Feng calmly and said, Dad, it may be difficult for Aunt Baiyun to give birth to this child. If she continues to do housework every day, if you really want this child, please hire a nanny for your family. Ling Guo finished speaking and went back to the room. Lin Feng blinked. Ling Guo didn't seem to be so disgusted with Bai Yun now. Guo, did you agree that I gave birth? Bai Yun was hiding at the door to listen, so after Ling Guo left, he couldn't wait to walk in and look at Lin Feng, his eyes flashing with disbelief. Qiuqiu, is what she said true? Lin Feng, tell me quickly, am I dreaming? You are not dreaming. Lin Feng shook his head. Qiuqiu, she seems to have accepted you. Really? Bai Yun looked surprised. Lin Feng nodded, so, you should be happy and don't be so depressed all day, which is not good for the child. Now, your task is to raise the child. Since you want this child so much, then raise it well and let him return. With you, everything is safe and sound. This is a beautiful thing. Bai Yun nodded heavily. Lin Feng, I'm really happy. Qiuqiu's attitude towards me has really improved a lot recently. Maybe I will have a chance to coexist peacefully with her in the future. Bai Yun looked at Ling Guo's door and said. She had been looking forward to this day for a long, long time, and finally, she had been looking forward to it. It was really good. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 362. Chapter 362. Master, Master. As soon as Feng Ling returned to the room, an urgent message came from the system. Feng Ling was stunned for a moment. What's wrong, system? Master, there is danger over there at Yekinghan. What did you say? Master, I may have to transport you to another space in advance, where both you and Yekinghan will lose their memories, but you believe that this is short-lived. As long as you complete the relevant tasks, you and Yekinghan will regain your memories. Okay, but here. Linguo has now begun to accept Baiyun, so next, they just need to get to know each other slowly, the system said. Then Master, are you ready? Feng Ling nodded, but, can I know about the mission you mentioned? No, Master, this is automatically triggered by the system. The system did not say that if you go to that place, not only the memory of Yekinghan, but also other memories will be erased, and the system will give Feng Ling a brand new character setting. The same goes for Yekinghan. Whether they can get together depends entirely on them. Let's go. Feng Ling closed her eyes. If this is something that must be experienced, then let's do it. The system nodded. Okay, Master, please get ready, the system is transmitting. Have you heard that Yekinghan from the Ye family is going to marry Feng Ling? What? It's impossible. Although Feng Ling is not as good as Feng Shuang, she is still an iconic beauty. How could the Feng family be willing to give it up? Oh my god. What is there to be reluctant about? You know, Feng Ling is not Feng Shushan's biological child. If Feng Ling gets married, then the Feng family can have a relationship with the Ye family. Feng Shushan is eager to do so. Okay, stop talking, the people from the Feng family are here. The news that Feng Ling was going to marry Yekinghan had spread throughout the entire internet in just one day. Now, this news has been going on for a whole week, but it has been discussed by people and remains high. Everyone is regretting that Feng Ling is so good looking that she has to marry a disabled person. Some people are even speculating whether Feng Ling will faint from fear after seeing Yekinghan's face. Feng Ling herself thought the same way at the beginning. For this reason, she tried not to eat, tried to commit suicide, and even poured wine on Yekinghan in front of so many people on such an important occasion today, making it impossible for him to get off the stage. But later on, it was this man who she despised who kept protecting her. Until the end of life. Today's engagement banquet was personally prepared by Yekinghan's grandfather. Yekinghai especially doted on Yekinghan's grandson. In order to prevent his grandson from being looked down upon by everyone, Yekinghai prepared for a long time. It's a pity that her previous life was completely destroyed by her ignorance, leaving only a little bit. So afterwards, Yekinghai never liked her very much. But despite this, in her previous life, when she wanted to leave, the old man still gave her a sum of money, which was enough for her to live for a lifetime. Ling-er, please behave well when you see the old man soon. Uncle will not harm you, and I have given you my regards. Yekinghan is a person with a particularly good personality. Although you can't walk, you have to know that as a girl, don't you just want a husband who can care for you and a home where you can have money to spend on yourself? Don't think everything is so bad. Furthermore, after you marry and go to Yejia, your uncle will not part ways with you. Whenever you feel homesick, we will welcome you back at any time. Feng Chu was naturally afraid that Feng Ling would ruin his beautiful plan. Always giving Feng Ling psychological hints along the way. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 363. Chapter 363. Feng Ling felt a little funny when she saw Feng Shushan blowing up the Ye family like this. Uncle, don't you think you are hypocritical? To be honest, Fen Ling sometimes doubted whether Chu Tian could speak without thinking. This was clearly a lack of thinking. Chu Tian was stunned for a moment, then realized that Fen Ling was scolding him, and he exploded in an instant. Fen Ling, I worked so hard to raise you so big, and you don't say anything good about me, yet you still act like this, don't you feel guilty? Fen Ling, I really spent my life raising you in vain. Snored. Feng Shushan felt that he would not be able to stand up after being exposed, so he was very angry. Fen Ling didn't care, because she and Feng Shushan were destined not to deal with each other. Feng Shushan, please continue, I really want to see what will happen to you in the future. Feng Shushan, I will never forgive you, not even in this life. After Fen Ling finished speaking, he left very gracefully. Feng Shushan stayed where he was, so angry that his nose was filled with smoke. Fen Ling. Fen Ling glanced at him, sneered, and left. Ye King Han had been waiting in the room, and Ye Kang Hai came in. He looked at his grandson and couldn't help but feel a little emotional. In fact, Ye King Han had strongly requested to marry Fen Ling, but now he couldn't even marry another girl. I don't know the attitude. He knew very well that his grandson had never spoken much and had a paranoid personality because of his leg. The same goes for wanting to marry someone else's girl this time. Even if you don't know the girl's attitude, you have to marry her. What if she doesn't want to marry her? What if she doesn't want to? Ye King Han, I want to ask you, I mean, if that little girl Fen Ling doesn't want to marry you, what will you do? You know, now that you are free to fall in love, you cannot tie her to your side for the rest of your life. Of course Ye King Han knows it, he knows it better than anyone else, but just because he knows it, he doesn't dare to think, Grandpa, I will make her fall in love with me, I will. But it's not that Grandpa doesn't believe you, but look, this little girl is so pretty, and there should be many people out there who like her. How can you be sure that people like you? If someone doesn't like you, just because of your identity, and you take them back, then you are sure that they will live with you for the rest of their lives. Grandpa is someone who has been there, and he wants to tell you that love is a very mysterious thing. So Grandpa hopes that you will think about it carefully and not be so anxious to get engaged. Maybe you can try to get along with each other. Ye King Han shook his head, Grandpa, it's different. If we don't get engaged, she won't agree to marry me. I have to tie her to me first. Although he doesn't know what Fen Ling is thinking in his heart now, but... Ye King Han smiled sarcastically, but no one likes me. After all, he is a cripple. If Fen Ling heard this, she would shake her head desperately, no, she does like Ye King Han. Even if you don't like it now, you will try to like it in the future. She knew Ye King Han's feelings for her very well. Sometimes, some things don't need so many reasons and comparisons, love just does. There are many healthy people and many handsome people. On reflection, there is only one right person. But now, Ye King Han doesn't know what Fen Ling is thinking, so Ye King Han is the only one thinking about the wrong thing. The time is up, let's go out, but if the girl doesn't want to. After all, I heard that Fen Ling is also a listener. A person in a vase. Anyway, no matter what, Grandpa is always behind you. Ye Kang Hai has already decided that he must persuade his grandson. He feels that this is unreliable. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 364. Chapter 364. King Han, does your fiancé have to be Fen Ling? In fact, your fiancé can be from many people, it doesn't have to be. Grandpa, my fiancé can only be one person in the future, and that is Fen Ling. Without waiting for Ye Kang Hai to say anything, Ye King Han pushed the wheelchair away. Ye Kang Hai knew that Ye King Han might be angry because he said bad things about Fen Ling. However, there are so many gossips before Fen Ling gets married. If Feng Ling does get married, then. Thinking of the rumors outside, the old man felt a little tired and followed Ye Qinghan with his hands behind his back. Now, many people in the living room are preparing to watch the excitement of the Ye family and the Feng family. Some people even think that Ye Qinghan is not worthy of Feng Ling, and think that Feng Ling is too beautiful. With such good looks, you can enter the entertainment industry, right? Although Feng Ling is a vase, I can't bear to be beautiful. Ye Qinghan wants to marry someone, but she doesn't look at herself. She has no face, wears a mask all day long, and is still a cripple. Yes, yes, how can Ye Qinghan have the nerve to go to Feng Ling this night? The Feng family really doesn't treat Feng Ling very well. The men are like this: if you get married, you will have to wait for others to urinate. It's disgusting. Alas, stop talking, Ye Qinghan is coming. When someone reminded them, everyone shut up in an instant. However, Ye Qinghan had good ears and he still heard it. However, he was used to all this. He looked at all this indifferently, as if everything was not worth mentioning. Just looking for his little woman in the crowd. With just one glance, the two people's eyes met. Feng Ling saw Ye Qinghan sitting in a wheelchair wearing a mask, and the old man was walking beside him at his speed. Feng Ling took the initiative to walk up to the old man and nodded slightly. "Hello, Grandpa Ye, I am Feng Ling." "Alas, you are Feng Ling." The old man looked at Feng Ling so closely for the first time today. When he looked at her, he immediately felt that his grandson had taken advantage of others. After all, he also knew about his grandson's situation. "Girl, come and sit quickly, sit next to Grandpa, and sit with Qinghan." The old man took one look at Feng Ling and felt that he really liked her. If this girl could really marry Qinghan, it would be a blessing for their family. But if people really don't want to, then. The old man sighed in his heart, then he couldn't force it. The system looked at all this in Feng Ling's mind and was very surprised, because the original setting was impossible to have such a setting. It is impossible for the male and female protagonists to have memories of past lives, and it is impossible for Feng Ling to be in a situation like this. According to this situation, they will naturally be together without the need for plot advancement. What is going on? I don't know either. Ye Qinghan's system shook his head. 001, you know, originally I thought I was going to disappear, but after coming to this world, I suddenly found that my energy seemed to have recovered. I have a very bold guess. I don't know if you are willing to listen to it. What guess? I was wondering if we might have suffered a disorder, leading to amnesia. In fact, this world is their main world, and they came back by mistake. Feng Ling's system was stunned for a moment. What you said is quite reasonable. It's just. If this is the case, then it means they don't need to disappear. Obviously, Ye Qinghan's system is also thinking about this. It would be great if they really don't have to disappear. From now on, they can all follow Ye Qinghan and Feng Ling. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 365. Chapter 365. Pingshui County is a well-known large county in Qikhan. Since Lin Feng, the county magistrate of Pingshui County, took office 10 years ago, the economy of Pingshui County has developed rapidly. Everyone said that County Magistrate Lin was a great benefactor. He not only promoted the economic development of the entire Pingshui County, but also provided an orphan with a family to rely on. Today, 10 years later, County Magistrate Lin found the biological parents of this little orphan. Such glorious deeds are spread by word of mouth throughout the residents of Pingshui County. Feng Ling is the lucky little orphan that people call her. At this moment, Feng Ling had already packed her luggage and went downstairs. In order to show that he valued her as his adopted daughter, Lin Feng was very generous today. He hung red firecrackers outside the door and posted a happy word on the door. Notices were posted all over the county town a week ago, for fear that others would not know about him. As if doing a good thing. Ruruo, the Ye family is famous for being a big family with many rules. After you leave, you must not do whatever you want to do like at home. Everything must be done according to the rules. Linfeng saw Lin Qinruo and immediately hugged him, a rare look of worry on his hypocritical face. The original person was deceived by him in this way, so he went to Ye's house with a conflicting mood, but he felt deeply for Lin Feng, his adoptive father. In the end, he and the entire Ye family were ruined. The Lin family, on the other hand, replaced the Ye family and became a big family. Lin Qinruo lowered her head, the bangs on her forehead covered the sarcasm in her eyes, and did not respond. 10 years ago, Lin Feng found her in the orphanage because Lin Feng's biological daughter Lin Xianro was suffering from aplastic anemia, and neither Lin Feng nor Li Shui's bone marrow matching matched. Instead, he was matched with her in the bone marrow bank. In order to save Lin Xianro, Lin Feng adopted her directly. Later, Pingshui County happened to be conducting a county magistrate's election. Lin Feng relied on her to win the title of Great Good Person and successfully became the county magistrate. From then on, everything went up. Now, he doesn't really want to send her back to the Ye family, he just wants to rely on her to clear the way to the Ye family so that his official position can be promoted again. Dad, I'm going to the Ye family in the capital. You can get whatever you want. Why are you worrying so much? Lin Xianro pouted and said dissatisfied. She has been very conceited since she was little and doesn't think anyone is better than her. Now Lin Qinruo has suddenly transformed from a poor little kid into a little princess in the capital. How can Lin Xianro swallow this breath? Okay, Lin Feng mocked, your sister will not forget you when she goes to the capital. Snort. Lin Xianro squeaked, but the peripheral vision of the two of them fell on Lin Qinruo, as if they were waiting for her answer. Lin Qinruo curled her lips, and under the expectant gazes of the two, she dragged her luggage past them and said, my family is here. Lin Qinruo. Lin Xianro didn't understand how there could be such stupid people in this world. They all hinted like this, why did she still not understand? Lin Feng's face didn't look too good either, but he couldn't bear the fact that they still had something to ask her for, so he didn't break out immediately. Following Lin Qinruo to the door, take good care of yourself after going to Ye's house, and don't forget to come home and have a look when you have time. And after the summer vacation, your sister will also go to school in the capital, and you two sisters will also have someone to take care of you. Did you not forget to search for some oil and water from her before leaving? Lin Qinruo's black eyes glanced at this cheap adoptive father, and without saying anything, she picked up the box and walked out. What do you mean by this white-eyed wolf? Li Shui walked out of the house and couldn't help but complain. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 366. Chapter 366. The Ye family in Beijing is not as easy to stay as she thought. Once they suffer a loss, they will naturally know how good we are. Lin Feng's little Philistine eyes are full of shrewd calculations. The Ye family in the capital had 3 sons except Lin Qinruo. Each of them are top talents in various fields across the country. And they all have their own personalities. The most unacceptable thing for such a family is stain. It is impossible for an adult like Lin Qinruo to be accommodated. It's best to know, Li Shui glanced at the girl who had already sat in the Maybach displeasedly, a white-eyed wolf is a white-eyed wolf. No matter how you raise it, you can't raise it properly. How is she like their delicate family? Needless to say, she has good grades and has been spotted by an international piano master. She is only 18 years old and can already perform abroad with her. What's the need to talk about the future? On the tree-lined roadside, a black Maybach parked quietly on the side of the road. showing its low-key luxury and looking out of place in this small county. Yezwoyo looked anxiously at the door of the Lin family. In his memory, he lost his sister when he was 4 years old. He still remembered that year was the darkest day for the entire Ye family. 18 years later, none of them expected to find Lin Qinruo again. Just for the past 18 years, his sister has been living in the small county of Pingshui, and her grades have always been at the bottom. Whether she can integrate into the life in the capital is still a problem. Yezwoyo was worried when a figure suddenly appeared in his field of vision. He wears a dark blue denim jacket over a white t-shirt. His right hand is casually inserted into the pocket of black jeans. The exposed skin is extremely white, and the blue blood vessels are clearly visible. The girl's hair was scattered casually on her shoulders, and her long black eyelashes covered her dark eyes, but they could not hide the coldness and alienation from the inside out. Even a bit arrogant, and seems to be not easy to deal with. Yezwoyo Lin Qinruo received all the memories of the original owner and recognized Yezwoyo in the Maybach at a glance. Little sister Yezwoyo recovered his shock at his first impression of Lin Qinruo, got out of the car with a smile and helped Lin Qinruo get his luggage. "I am Yezwoyo, just call me second brother." Second brother. Lin Qinruo hesitated for a while and then called out obediently. Yezwoyo seemed to be a little too enthusiastic about her, and Lin Qinruo was a little uncomfortable with it. Yezwoyo helped Lin Qinruo put the suitcase in the trunk and asked, "Little sister, you only have one suitcase?" In his impression, girls usually have to pack big and small bags when moving, right? Lin Qinruo is a little too concise. "Well, just one other important things are placed in Jindi." The first meeting with Lin Qinruo made Yezwoyo label Lin Qinruo an ice beauty. His little sister doesn't seem to like communicating with others very much. Actually, what Yezwoyo didn't know was that it wasn't that Lin Qinruo didn't like to communicate, but that he didn't know how to communicate. Before coming to this world, the place where she lived had been the National Laboratory 500 years later, where besides specimens there were medicines. Even the normal communication mode of asking and answering was only learned after coming to this world. "Little ancestor, did Lin Feng, that stinky man with no profit and no early days, really sell you to the Ye family? Why is he so embarrassed? Not only did he use your bone marrow to cure his daughter's illness, but he has used your morals to kidnap the county magistrate every year for so many years. Now that you are about to become an independent adult after turning 18, I want to sell you to him. Is the Ye family squeezing out the last bit of money? I don't think you should have saved the White Lotus in the first place. You are such a good person. I think you are just in a cesspool." The Bluetooth headset in Lin Qinruo's ear kept flashing blue light, and the sound of a man gritting his teeth came from inside. Lin Qinruo was sitting in the car, pointing her pretty fingers at the screen of her mobile phone. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 367. Chapter 367. The Lin family has raised me for 10 years, and I have given him a healthy daughter and my current position, so everything is settled. The man opposite sneered, seemingly dissatisfied with Lin Qinruo's explanation, but he didn't mention it again. Changed the topic to the Ye family. I checked the basic information of the Ye family. Your eldest brother Yezwofen works in your biological father Yeji's company and is the future successor of the Yip group. He is unsmiling and not easy to get along with. Your second brother Yezwoyo is a popular idol, but he is also known as the Smiling Tiger. You have to pay close attention to this person, because he might stab you in the back at some point. Your third brother Ye Zhoming is obsessed with medicine and doesn't appear much on weekdays, so I don't have much information about him here. Little ancestor, these brothers of yours are not good at all. Lin Qinruo frowned while listening to the man who was both a father and a mother in the headphones, and typed a line of text with his pretty fingers and sent it. Do you think I am a good person? Man, it seems not. At this point, the chat between the man and his little ancestor once again ended with the little ancestor chatting to death. Yezwoyo had been observing his sister through the rear-view mirror along the way, whom he had not seen for more than 10 years. Soon, Yezwoyo discovered that his sister didn't seem to be interested in his brother. In addition to staring at the phone along the way, I occasionally moved my fingers a few times and closed my eyes to rest. Yezwoyo felt a little upset. He suddenly missed the soft and waxy little baby who would reach out and say sweetly to him, "Brother, give me a hug." On the way, Yezwoyo introduced the current situation of the Ye family to Linkinruo in order to ease his own embarrassment. Linkinruo remained calm until Yezwoyo mentioned Ye Yutong, the adopted daughter adopted by the Ye family after she was lost. "Do you remember how I lost it in the first place?" This is also a question asked on behalf of the original person. When she took over this body, she promised the original body 3 things. One of the things is to find out how the Ye family lost her in the first place, and why they haven't come looking for her for more than 10 years. I was too young at the time, I don't remember anymore. Yezwoyo tried to avoid this topic by laughing. Linkinruo raised her eyelids and said slowly, 4 years old is indeed still young. There is no problem with what he said, but Yezwoyo felt that Linkinruo meant something else. Looking over, the girl didn't seem to notice anything was wrong, and she fell asleep quietly leaning against the car window. Yezwoyo breathed a sigh of relief. He probably thought too much. How could his little sister, a child who grew up in an ordinary family, have so many thoughts? At the gate of Yes house, Yes father, Yes mother, and Yes Wofen have been waiting early in the morning. When the car came in, Yemu Bairuo Shui was so excited that she almost collapsed on the ground. The moment he saw Linkinruo, he hugged him directly and held Linkinruo in his arms. Such a sudden close contact made Linkinruo's body a little stiff. "You, calm down a little." She is not used to being in such close contact with others. Bairuo Shui hugged Linkinruo for a while, then let go of Linkinruo, but her moist eyes could not hide her excitement. "It's good to come back, it's good to come back, my child, I have suffered so much for you outside for so many years." Linkinruo looked at the woman with slightly gray hair. The mistress of the Ye family, who outsiders said was supposed to be magnificent, was now trembling like an ordinary mother. Just because she was back, she felt sad in her heart. A little sour. "Come in, it's hot outside." Bairuo Shui gathered his emotions and welcomed Linkinruo into the door of Yes house. During the whole process, Yeji never said a word. Interesting. Linkinruo's lips curved into a faint smile. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 368. Chapter 368. In the memories of the original body's previous life, the memories of the Lin family accounted for most, but there were very few memories of the Ye family. She always thought that everyone would be happy with Linkinruo's arrival, but now it seems that is not the case. Third brother, Sister Kinruo seems to be back. In the Ye family's laboratory, Ye Yutong is wearing a white coat and white flat shoes. Her hair is combed into a neat ponytail. A blue mask covers most of her face, leaving only a pair of slightly melancholy eyes. Shall we go out to greet her? Otherwise, Sister Kinruo will be unhappy. Are you happy after welcoming her? Ye Zhoming scraped off the medicinal mud from the man in front of him, took off his gloves and said, "Master Jin, it's done." The man responded lightly, stood up and put on his clothes. He seemed to have done this action thousands of times. Third brother, I am just an outsider, and Sister Kinruo is your biological sister. Ye Yutong replied softly, picking up the towel that had been prepared in his hand and planning to go forward and wipe Jin Yuding's sweat. But was met with unabashed disgust from the man. He walked around Ye Yutong, took a new sterilized towel, and wiped the sweat off his face. Ye Yutong's smile under the mask froze for a moment, but quickly recovered. "Sorry, Mr. Jin, I forgot. Master Jin, when will you change your habit of hating women? Jin Yuding is the only son of Jin Yan, the head of the Jin family, a prominent family in the capital. It is said that an accident happened when he was 6 years old. From then on, his whole person became more and more cold and irritable, and ordinary people could not get close to him at all. Especially women. Ye Zhoming was washing the tools he had just applied to Jin Yuding on his hands while muttering, "Don't forget that there is your fiancé out there." The fiancé Ye Zhoming was talking about was Lin Qinruo. It was decided when Lin Qinruo was just 1 month old. Later, after Lin Qinruo lost her, Jin Yan originally wanted to cancel the marriage, but Mr. Jin refused to agree, so it was postponed until now. Thinking of that marriage, Jin Yuding frowned unconsciously. "Let's go. Master Jin, I'll give it to you." Ye Yutong hurriedly took off his work clothes and ran out after the man. "This girl." Ye Zhoming looked helplessly at Ye Yutong, who was running behind her. It's a pity that the falling flowers are careless, but the flowing water is ruthless. Jin Yuding, that guy, deserves to be single and solo for the rest of his life. "This is your third brother's laboratory. Over there," Bai Ruoshui was introducing Ye Zhoming's residence to Lin Qinruo. "The Ye family is very big, and each person has a separate house. There are 7 members of the Ye family, and there are 6 villas. It's just that Ye Zhoming was obsessed with medicine and directly changed his house into a laboratory. He did all this. There are 2 rows of shelves in the laboratory. One row should be finished products, and the other row seems to be still semi-finished products." Lin Qinruo picked up a test tube on the table, brought it up to his nose and smelled it. This was. "Do not move." Ye Yutong came out of the secret room and saw a girl in simple clothes holding a potion that her third brother had just finished. "Who are you? This is the potion that third brother worked so hard to research. If it breaks, can you afford to pay for it?" What Lin Qinruo had in hand was something that Ye Zhoming spent a full 5 months researching. The ingredients in it were so complicated that even she couldn't understand them. There is only one bottle like this in the world. If it is destroyed, all the hard work of her third brother will be destroyed. Ye Zhoming developed it by himself. Lin Qinruo was a little surprised. The ingredients inside should be used to treat severe insomnia, and the ratio between the medicines needs to be exactly right, otherwise the effect will be wasted. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 369. Chapter 369. It seems that her third brother has something. Ye Yutong said arrogantly, "Of course. My third brother is an internal member of the International Medical Organization, and a bottle of potion he made can be sold for tens of thousands in China. So in his laboratory, no unauthorized persons are allowed to enter." Lin Qinruo responded nonchalantly and put the potion back to its place. "So is it a big deal that a bottle of potion can be sold for tens of thousands?" She remembered that the first bottle of potion she made cost 1 million. Moreover, Ye Zhoming's bottle of potion is clearly only a semi-finished product. Without that potion, it would have been impossible for this potion to become a finished product in this lifetime. Seeing that the 2 girls were about to quarrel, Bai Ruoshui hurriedly explained, "Yutong, this is Qinruo. She has just arrived. She doesn't understand your third brother's habits. Please take care of her more. Yuting, why are you here today?" Jin Yuding answered a phone call halfway and was late. "See Zhoming for physical therapy." Before Jin Yuding came out of the secret room, he heard Bai Ruoshui introducing Lin Qinruo, and subconsciously looked at his nominal fiancé. It happened that Lin Qinruo was also sizing up Jin Yuding, and their eyes met directly. Lin Qinruo swore that she had seen many handsome men and beautiful women in the high-tech era 500 years later. But this is the first time I have seen a man like Jin Yuding who is naturally noble from the inside out. The tall nose bridge, three-dimensional facial features, soared eyebrows, revealing the air conditioning that is difficult for others to approach. He is a big boss who is not easy to get close to. But, Lin Qinruo touched her nose. Logically speaking, a man with such an outstanding appearance as Jin Yuding should not have any memory points. Why is it that in the memory of the original owner, it seems that this man has never appeared before? Brother Yuding, I haven't introduced you yet, but this is Sister Qinruo, your fiancée. Sister Qinruo, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you just now, so I was a little more aggressive. After all, that bottle of potion was for Brother Yuding. But if it's Sister Qinruo, Brother Yuding shouldn't mind, right? Just when the two big guys were sizing each other up, Lin Qinruo moved and stood between them. What did you say, fiancé? Yes, Sister Qinruo, didn't Mom mention it to you? You were engaged to Brother Yuding right after you were born. Ye Yutong looked surprised. Lin Qinruo. Why does the original person have no memory of such a big thing? At this moment, Lin Qinruo wanted to drag out the original soul and whip the corpse. As the saying goes, it is better to be the wife of a poor man than to marry a rich and handsome man. This, tall, rich and handsome man, who is brave in the air conditioning in summer and winter in Antarctica, and only has 3 words written on his face that he is not to mess with. If she really gets married, will she still have a stable life? She, Lin Qinruo, was born as a single solo dog 500 years later. Now she does not want to sublimate herself into the legendary all-round heroine with no blind spots in 360 degrees. Now that Ye Yutong mentioned it, Bai Ruoshui remembered Lin Qinruo's engagement. Look at my memory, I even forgot to tell you. Bai Ruoshui took Lin Qinruo's hand and looked at Jin Yuding with a pleased expression. This is your future husband. It just so happens that everyone is here today. You can also have a meal together to cultivate your relationship. Wait a moment. Lin Qinruo withdrew his hand, groaning secretly in his heart. She returned to the Ye family simply to fulfill the 3 wishes of the original owner during his lifetime. Those 3 wishes did not include marrying Jin Yuding. Under Bai Ruoshui's blank gaze, Lin Qinruo grabbed Jin Yuding's hand and said, 5 minutes, I have something very important to tell you. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 370. Chapter 370. Here, Feng Ling was sitting next to Ye Feng, looking very well behaved and not at all as impatient as everyone said. Ye Feng had a better impression of Feng Ling in an instant. Can I call you Ling Ling? Sure, Grandpa. Ye Feng Ling nodded obediently. My parents used to call me that too. Okay, Ling Ling, you know that this engagement was King Han's idea, but Grandpa still respects your opinion and wants to ask you, are you willing to marry King Han? Ye Feng looked at Feng Ling nervously. Not only Ye Feng, but also Ye King Han, who is most nervous right now. He has never asked Feng Ling such a question because he thinks the answer is yes. However, he couldn't bear to see her marry someone else. So, in the end, Ye King Han chose the most extreme way. Even if Feng Ling hated him because of it, he had no regrets. Ye King Han admitted that sometimes his way of dealing with problems was more direct, which might hurt some people. However, he didn't understand how problems like this should be handled, or what better way to handle them. Grandpa, I do. Feng Ling lay in Ye Feng's ear and said softly, Grandpa, I think Ye King Han is very good. Don't worry, we will be fine after we get married. I'm not lying, Ye King Han is excellent, isn't he? The girl's eyes were bright. Ye Feng couldn't tell what Feng Ling said was wrong, but did any girl really appreciate his grandson? At this moment, Ye Feng felt like he wanted to cry. Ye King Han sat next to Feng Ling, and her whole body froze when she saw what she said in the old man's ear. Before the old man could speak, he took Feng Ling's hand and said, come with me. Fenling did not refuse and was pulled aside obediently by him. What's wrong? Fenling squatted down and looked at Yekinghan's level. You can't refuse me. Yekinghan looked at the girl, as if she had the stubbornness of a child. Fenling blinked and suddenly smiled. I didn't say I wanted to reject you. This time, it was Yekinghan's turn to be confused. So wasn't she just telling her grandfather that she didn't want to marry him? Fenling knew that Yekinghan was probably overthinking it, so she shook her head helplessly. I think you are very good, and you are much more sincere than those hypocritical people in the Feng family. Yekinghan, I promise to marry you, but I also hope you promise me never to betray me. Likewise, I will never betray you. I will not betray you, Yekinghan almost blurted out. Fenling curled her lips and said, I know you won't betray me. She believed it, always believed it. From then till now. She looked at the man. Under the moonlight, the man's facial features were particularly three-dimensional and beautiful. No one else had seen Yekinghan, but Fenling had. She clearly knew what a heart-warming face lay beneath this mask. He deserves to be treated well by her for a lifetime. However, I am not familiar with you yet. So, we may have to get to know each other better in the future before we can get married. I think we can be like ordinary couples, from getting to know each other to falling in love and then getting married, okay? Well, as long as you are happy. Yekinghan nodded. He had always doted on her. Fenling smiled and kissed Yekinghan gently on the forehead. Thanks. She knew that although Yekinghan had a paranoid personality, he pampered her in many things. He would give her whatever she wanted and never made things difficult for her. Except for divorcing her or letting her go, but in the end, she threatened to die, and he had no choice but to agree. End of this chapter.